Ever wonder why some t-shirts fly off the shelves while others sit there untouched? In today's episode, I'm going to show you how to design your very own t-shirt that not only looks good, but actually sells. From idea to ink, let's create impact through fashion.
Good morning, or good afternoon, or maybe it's evening. It doesn't really matter what time it is, and it doesn't even matter where you are. We want to welcome you to Wholeness Wednesdays. So grab a cup of coffee or tea and join our host, Beatrice Hutchison, as we explore and experience our journey to complete wholeness.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Completely Whole's Wholeness Wednesdays. I'm your host, Beatrice Hutchison, and I'm so glad to have you with us this evening on the channel where we talk about everything pertaining to wholeness, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. And so we are continuing with our series entitled July Financial Independence. And so we have been talking about unique ways to become financially independent or to at least help us to gain some more finances or some increase in our finances. And so as we're continuing with that series, we are going to be diving deep into a topic today that I think many can relate to or may find an interest in. So our topic today is going to be from idea to ink, how to design t-shirts that sell, right? So not only just creating a t-shirt, right? We're going to talk about how to design it together and give you some options, some free options, right? So there'll be no out-of-pocket expense in reference to it. But we want to talk about how to design t-shirts that will sell. All right, so there's a quote that says, and I'd like to start off with this. It says, design is the silent ambassador of your brand. And that was Paul Rand that said that. But design is important, right? It's the thing that pushes your brand. So whatever your brand is, even if you haven't developed a brand yet, you find out what it is that you would like to accomplish. What is the message or the statement that you would like to make with your brand? And then your design will support that, right? It will be the silent ambassador. So we want to talk about how we could use what it is that we set out to do, right? So whether that is whatever your niche is going to be, whatever your brand is going to be, if you don't have one already created, you want to have a vision around it, right? And you want to think about how you can make that vision come to life. And so you can use your vision and creativity to make a bold, wearable statement that speaks life and purpose, that makes a statement, that gets a point across. And so it doesn't matter what kind of t-shirts or what types of slogans that you may want to choose. Determine what your niche is going to be, what your focus, what your brand is going to be, and then think about your audience, right? We're going to talk a little bit about that, and then begin to create. There are a few other steps in there, but we'll get to it. And so I want you to first think about, there's a statement of some research information that says, according to Statista, the global custom t-shirt printing market is projected to reach $10 billion by 2025. I mentioned this before. But it's driven by fashion trends, right? And personalization and demand for self-expression. And so if nothing else, with a t-shirt or with a piece of clothing, right, you can wear your statement and you can you can express yourself. You can make a statement to the world in reference to whatever it is that you are connecting to or whatever message it is that you're trying to get across. So the top selling designs, right, that we see nowadays are things like quotes, motivational sayings, or funny things, or faith-based types of sayings and slogans. Also, something that has minimalist graphics on it, right? So not something that's so bold with a lot of colors, but something that is very minimal in colors. Also, social justice themes. especially those things that are personalized, right? If there's an option to personalize it, right? Or have seasonal messages, personalizing something, you can have it be something that interjects or the person's name, right? Or if it's a picture of a pet, what's the name of the pet, or a child, the name of the child, right? So something people like to see their names on things, right? And also if it's a seasonal message or if it's a personal direct message to something, just the opportunity or the option to be able to personalize also helps to push things off the shelves. And so there are some design trends to watch for in 2025, some that we see that are repetitive or that we see that are selling well. And we're going to look at some of those in a moment. But retro typography, right? Something that has like the retro types of lettering or font, as you would call it. Something that also I mentioned earlier about the minimalist, right? Having minimalism as far as the colors, having earth tones, those sorts of things are really selling nowadays. AI inspired patterns, because usually when you generate something on AI, depending on the prompt that you put in, it will make a very, very unique design. So those are something that's also selling. Things that are also niche focused, those types of statements, as I mentioned earlier, about faith, maybe wellness or empowerment, those sorts of things are selling very, very well. And so I'm going to do a demonstration with you here in a few moments, but I first want to kind of point out to you what we are going to be talking about, right? So we are going the steps that we'll be following. And so first you want to choose your niche, right? I started out a little earlier talking about choosing your niche. What is it that you want to get across, right? What statement are you trying to make? And then who is going to be your audience, right? So say you are you want to your audience is going to be pet lovers, right? So you need to even niche that down a little further. So say cat lovers, right? So that's going to be your niche, cat types of, and I'm just using that as an example, but just so that you get the picture. But you want to choose a niche, right? Something that you determine is in high demand, right? And something that can help to reflect or be a good reflection on your brand. Those things you want to think about, right? So it could be something, as I mentioned, about faith or fitness, health, family, mental health, right? All there's so many things, endless opportunities or options to be able to create with. So you want to think about that target audience. Who are you trying to appeal to? Is it moms or dads or nurses? Different occupations you can also, or pet, as I mentioned, pet lovers, right? So determine what your target audience is going to be, right? And then also what is their lifestyle and what are their pain points? Because remember, if you have someone's solution, right, you were created on purpose with a purpose. So you have someone's solution, right? So you want to think about whoever your target audience is, what is the lifestyle that is usually led by those individuals, right? And what are their pain points? What are some places where they would need solution to, right? And so those are things that you could really look at when we're thinking about what our target audience is, or who they are and what we could offer them. And then that was the first step. So the second step, we want to talk about finding some design inspiration, right? So we're going to also look through some other things to see some other ideas, right? So we can look at some other stores, or we can look at things like any place that has a search engine like Pinterest. You can look on Google, Canva, Creative Market, Etsy, Creative Fabric. There's so many places that you can look just to get some inspiration, right? To see what is out there, and also to do some research to see what is trending. What is it that's in high demand? What are people looking for, right? So what's trending? You want to be able to identify those things, but then you want to put your own uniqueness on it, right? You want to put your own unique twist on it. So remember, think about what your niche is going to be, who your audience is going to be that's connected to that niche, right? And then you want to get some inspiration, right? And so then after that, step 3 is going to be that you have to identify now some tools that you can use. And so I'm going to share some free tools with you. Canva and Kittle are two that are very that have free options, right? There also is a paid version with Canva, but and Kittle, but there are free versions. So if you don't have the upfront money or something that you don't want to take on, say, you don't want to pay for it annually or on a month-to-month basis, because maybe you're just trying it out, right? You want to see how it goes. You want to, kind of feel your way around. So you can go for the free option, right? The free part of it, so that you can begin to kind of get in there and kind of, not, I don't want to say snoop around, but feel your way around to see how to do certain things, right? So you want to use those to help you do your designs. And it can also help you to create your mock-ups, because those are also very important, and we're going to talk about it. But when we're looking at the fonts, right, we're going to make sure that we're using things that are catching the attention, right? Things that are bold and readable fonts, right? You don't want to have things that are not, that are hard to read, right? And then you don't want to have, we talked about having the minimal colors, right? So you don't want to have so many colors. You want to have 2 to 3. Also, because that helps with how well things print, right? So you want to take those things into consideration. And then there's also something else you can do. So if it's something that you want to kind of test and see if it's something that people would be interested in, you can test your design. There is an option to do that. And so you can, do a mock up, and you can put it up on your social media or put it up in your stories, and you could run a poll on it and ask people, would you wear this? Do you like this? What do you think? Give me some feedback, right? Would you gift this to someone? So you can do all of those things by way of poll and get some feedback and see if people are interested in it, if they like the design, or if they like the premise behind it, or if they understand the point you're trying to get across, right? So you could definitely put it out there and poll and allow people to say whether or not they like it or if they would purchase it. And then also you want to think about your platform, right? So even after we design the shirts, you want to think about how do you want to sell them, right? So you could sell them in person at local markets. You could sell them online. You can do it by way of print on demand, or you could do it by way of printing your own shirts, right? And so we talked about that in a past episode. I do encourage you to go back and take a look at it. But we talk about how, the different options between the print on demand and the making the shirt yourself, right? So with making the shirt yourself, there is some upfront cost, right? But then with the print on demand, there's little to no upfront cost, right? And so it really depends on what it is that you want to do, what type of an income or what type of um, profit you're looking to make from each of the products, right? So those are things that you need to take into consideration. So I go in depth more about it in a prior episode. So please go back. I'll link it here so you can go back and take a look. But something else we want to do is, if we're going to use a channel, right? So we're going to do print on demand. We could choose Printify, Printful. We can choose Teespring, TeePublic. There's so many different platforms that you could use if you're doing print on demand. And then also, if you want to sell your own product, if you want to make it yourself and sell it, you could do it on your website. You could do it on Shopify. You could do it in a Square store. So there's also multiple options for all of those things. So you want to think about it. But something that's important that I mentioned earlier that I get back to is mock-ups, right? Mock-ups are very, very important, right? And so you want to make sure whatever platform you choose, that you want to put good mock-ups there, right? Because people want to see what your design will look like in real time, in real life, right? And in a space or on a person, what would it look like, right? It just kind of helps the imagination to see how they would look in it, or whoever it is that they're purchasing it for, what they would look like in it, right? And so you want to think about that. Also, another place you can, Etsy, you could do that. You could do print on demand or sell your own on Etsy. That's also another option. And so let's do it together. So the first thing we want to do here is we want to make sure that we choose a niche, right? So we want to make sure we choose a niche. So this is the area that the audience that we'll be after, the types of attire or designs that we want to create, right? So it can be faith, fitness, or family. And so what you want to do is you want to do your research to see what's high and what's trending. And so some of those that I offered, you can certainly go after one of those. But just for the purpose of today's demonstration, we're going to go for something. I'm going to say we're going to go for something for fitness, right? And so what we want to do here is that we want to search, and we can actually once you determine what your niche is going to be, so say it's fitness, right? You want to be a health and wellness ambassador, or maybe you are. And so you want to do something around fitness, or maybe you're targeting those that are into being well, right? Physically. So if you choose fitness, so what you can do, right, is you can go in and you can ask, let's see, we'll go in and we'll ask our friend ChatGPT, and you can say, in your prompt, you say, give me 5 slogans for a t-shirt for my fitness brand that is motivational, right? So maybe include both of those, because we want to inspire and encourage others, right, to get well, right? All right, so here are here are 5 topics, right? So stronger than my excuses, discipline over doubt, no days off, just progress, built by consistency, and pain in temporary, power in forever. Oh, nice. I like those. All right, so let's do discipline over doubt. Let's do that. And then let's go back. And we can go back here and let me see, take us into, now we want to find some inspiration, right, for our brand. So let's go into, all right, here we are at Etsy.com, right, the market and shop. So you could go in here, you can write, you want to look up trending t-shirts. All right, so I'm looking at some of those that are trending, right? And you see the star ranks on some of these. See how well they're doing. You see here it says most loved. And so you see, and they're not, the majority of them are not a lot of colors, right? As we were talking about the minimum, using minimal colors, right? So this one is, it says most loved. We have 32.9 thousand people that gave this a 4.5 rating, right? And so this is something that's just with flowers. Let's see some other things. You see some motivational sayings here. Be you, the world will adjust. Some flowers and some fun things. You'll also see that they also sell designs. You can take a look at those and get some ideas. And so remember, we're again just kind of looking here for inspiration, right? And so even you have some funny quotes here, and you have some sarcasm, right? Those sorts of things work. Some things that are faith-based, some things that are holiday-based as well. And so these kinds of things just give you, let's add in here fitness t-shirts. Trending fitness t-shirts. Exercise helps me, keeps me sane. And so that's a happy face there. Then you'll see here, looks like no pain, no gain on this one. And don't stop when you're tired, stop when you're done. So these are some different ideas that you can just take a look at and see if there are things that you like here, right? So as a woman, I'm not sure what it says, but she's lifting weights and it says motivational, right? Everything hurts and I'm hungry. So that's a little humor there. But you get the idea. So you can come here and get some ideas about what you would like to design. This is so cute. gym mode, very cute and girly. So you see so many different, also here they have where you could buy the bundle as well, the SVG bundle, and use their designs. But this is just to give you some ideas of what you can look at, right? To give you some inspiration. They're not I don't want to say they're not rocket science, right? They're not really extreme. A lot of these just have very really simple things, right? Simple images, not something that's a whole lot. This one just has yeah, just has white writing, has black writing on a white shirt, right? So some of these are very minimalistic, right? And so they are definitely something that you can do. And then also I want to take you to, let's take a look at Canva. Let's see which ones. All right, we're going to go here. And so you want to have some of, you can go in here and also ask, and you can create a design, right? You can go into the AI and have it create a design for you. So when you go here into Canva, and this is my personal account, but you can go to Canva AI, and here you can put in a prompt, right? And tell it to create an image for you. So we chose the saying, discipline over doubt, I believe it was. So create an image of a muscular, fit person, lifting weights with the wording, I'll say with the slogan, discipline over doubt. And let's see what it gives us. And notice I didn't put female or male. I just wanted to see what it would give us. And it's taken some time, but this could give you some inspiration. Also, see, this gives you some images here that you could put on your t-shirt, right? All right, so you could use that. I don't really like any of those. Let's see. Let's duplicate it. Let's say something else. Create an image of a muscular and fit, let's say female. Standing with discipline above her head and over doubt under her feet. Let's see. Okay, I like this one. Not bad. Discipline over doubt. And so we'll just choose this one for the sake of. And then for t-shirts, we want to do a custom size because generally we want to do, say, 4,500 minimum. And let's see, we can maybe play around with the image and get it the way we want it. Maybe go into elements. Do a color splash. Let's see what they have that we can put behind her. Send it to the back. Let's see. Make it smaller. It's not bad. I like this because it actually matches with her skin tone a bit, right? But you play around with it until you get an image that you like, right? Then I want to adjust this a bit. So I'm going to say edit because I want to grab the text and make the top one a little bit larger. Go in here and put the shape back a bit. I want to keep it. And I like that to have the discipline larger. And so very simply put, really, really simple image. Not something that I would necessarily sell, right? But just to kind of give you an idea of how you can really play around with this and get the image that you want, something that you feel would be aesthetically appealing, right? So that you could sell it. And so this you could put on any image, right? So then you want to, of course, go up here. You want to download. Want to make sure it's a PNG. Gives you the different options here. You can also put it, you can use any of these, but it's ideal to do the PNG image. And so you can have that and put it on any shirt. And so we're using Canva, and so there's the free version of it that you could use. You could also use Kittle to help with the designing of it. And so you want to, and you see I've kept a few colors, right? Not trying to have so many different colors, but trying to do that. So as we talked about, you could test this image, right? You could put it on a mock-up, and then we could, you can do a poll on it, send it out on your social media and ask people if they would purchase it, right? Or even if you can go to a group, right? Maybe a Facebook group that deals with, that has this audience, right? That has the fitness and wellness sort of audience, then you could poll it there, right? Or add the image and ask if to gauge people's interest to see if they would think that it would help, or that's something that they would be interested in, right? So you could gauge it. And then also you can put it on a mock-up. And so you have some t-shirts here. Let's see. Of course, you want to choose one that, just has a person in it, which shows them. These are just kind of the shirts themselves, but you can do that. Don't want to do the black because then you won't see the writing on it. But we want to layer it, send it to the back, and then that way you have your image up front on it. All right, so there you have your discipline over doubt. Let's look and see under photos what they have as far as mock-ups. Okay, so here you have some. Send that to back. And just put the image on her. So see how simple that was? So now you have the image on a t-shirt. And so this would be something that you would put out over your social media to run a poll or to get some feedback on it. Ask the question, would you wear this? Would you gift this to someone? If so, give it a thumbs up, right? Or either put in the comment, comment yes. And so this would be the way that you would test your design. Just so that you can do it on print on demand, or either you could print your own shirt, right? And so certainly with your own shirt, depending on where you get your shirts from, you can get them. You could get them as my goodness, you can get them for $2.99, $3.99. Very, very inexpensive. And even the sublimation, if you have a printer to do it, it's not expensive either. Depending on, they charge you by, depending on the size. So something like this would probably be under $3 to print, right? And so they would send that to you, and you can get your shirts from, so depending on who you want to get it from. If you have your own heat press, then you could certainly do it yourself. But it depends on how much profit that you want to get, right? So if you think about, say, $3 and $4, so the shirt costs $7, right, for you to produce it yourself. And so as opposed to the $9.50 to $13.19, right? But then if you don't want to keep stock on hand, you don't have a heat press, you don't have the printers to do your own, or you don't want to purchase them, right? The print on demand is easy because you don't have to purchase, you don't have to keep stock or inventory on site. You make the order through them, and then they will just send it directly to the customer, right? So that's something that you may want to do, but remember that that's your production cost through Printify, or any other printer that you use, right? But then depending on where you have your shirt, right? So if you put it up on, say, Etsy, or you put it up on you put your design on up at a different location, someplace like TeePublic, right? Each of those platforms have their costs, their fees associated as well. So that's something you also have to factor and take into consideration when you're coming up with the end price for your shirts. And then you also want to do your market research and find out what what the going charges, I guess, for the shirts are, right? So you don't want to charge $30 for a shirt if it's not something that is generally priced there, right? You want to have a shirt that costs too much money that people will not patronize, that people will not purchase. All right. So very simple to do. Did a very simple sign, a very simple symbol, right? And we had AI to just generate this for us. But you can also go into, you could go into, you could also go into here and just have them ask for shirt designs, right? You can go into you could go into the design, search their templates, right? For a t-shirt template. This is more so for mock-ups, but it will also see these images coming up. These are also things that you can put on shirts, right? Designs and things that you could modify. You can't just put them straight like that, because then you have the licenses that you have to make sure that you're abiding by, right? So you have to make sure that you read to make sure that it's something that you can post and see what the requirements are around it. But usually if you take one of the images and you modify it, right? So even the sayings, the colors, modify it and make it original to you, then you're able to use the images, right? So those are things to keep in mind. But you could also purchase them off of Etsy. People, as you saw, sell the SVG files that you could just download and print out, or you can purchase them. You can purchase them from Creative Fabrica as well, any place where they're doing designs. And then also Canva does their own print on demand as well. You can print with them and have them do the shirts. It costs a bit more, but there are so many options. So I hope that this was helpful. All right. So I hope that you found that to be interesting and informative. Not so difficult, huh? Not difficult at all. And so, if this episode has inspired you to start designing t-shirts, and hopefully it has, we want you to design t-shirts that tell a story, right? And so if you design your own t-shirt, I do want you to tag me, and I'll put the link down below. I'll even put it up on the screen, just so that you can tag me and show me what you've created. Let me know what you stepped out to do, right? What was your creation? I'd love to see it. And so also don't forget, I do in the description below, I'm going to also include their checklist to help you just remember the steps that we talked about today. So it's a design to sell a t-shirt checklist. So that'll be yours free of charge, so that you can be reminded of the steps, right? As you're going through them, and also the things that we walk through today, every step, right? Because we want you to be successful. We want you to not just do something and not do well. We want you to be successful. And so I do want to encourage you also. So maybe you're deciding that you don't want to design your own shirts. You can certainly visit my Shopify or my Square store, and I'll leave those links below as well. And you can visit, purchase your own, or maybe you can just even go there and get some inspiration, right? Just to see some things that I've done. But I want you to understand that it's something that you very, very much can do. And so each of us has a message. Each of us has a story to tell, right? And so there's a scripture in Habakkuk 2:2 that says, "Write the vision and make it plain on tablets, that he may run who reads it," right? And so, of course, tablets are what we use in the Bible days, but we're talking today about putting our statements or putting our visions or putting our message on apparel, right? And so those things, and it doesn't have to stop there. You can do it on all different types. Once you do your design, you can put it on anything. You can put it on cups and mugs, or any type of drinkware, all types of computerware. Like, oh my goodness, there's so many things that you can do. But let's just start with the design. And so I love it on apparel because you get to wear it, right? You don't always have a mug out in front of everyone. Some people carry like their large mugs or their sports, drink bottles. Some people carry those around, right? But if you don't, everyone has to wear clothes, right? At least so we would like. And so what's better than a t-shirt? And so even I'm wearing one of my t-shirts today that says that I am wonderfully made, right? And so it's a wonderful thing. You get to make your own statement through fashion. And so those two things are certainly my favorite. And I'm sure it's some of your favorites as well. But I want you to think about what we talked about. I'm always talking about not just doing it or not just hearing about it, right? But doing it, right? Actually getting out there and trying it for yourself and seeing. You never know what you'll be good at if you never try. So I want you to know that there are great things inside of you that you may not have even tapped into yet. So this is just something to offer you as another stream of income, something that could help you towards your financial independence. And certainly, it's not the only thing, right? But you can do extremely well, right? There are the steps with the marketing and all of that we didn't really go into today. But there are ways to be very, very successful and have it be very lucrative, right? That could really, really assist and aid in your financial independence. It really depends on where you are. So I thank you, all of you, for joining today and just for listening in and tuning in. And so as we often do together, let us close and affirm together. So repeat after me. My creativity is a gift, and I use it to build a life of purpose, prosperity, and positive impact. Wonderful. And thank you so much for your time. My prayer is that you will be made whole in every area of your life, especially the financial. And I pray that you will be blessed beyond measure, right? Beyond all that you could fathom or even imagine. And so my prayer is that you will be blessed and that you will be financially free. And so until we meet next time, take care of yourself, mind, body, and soul. Take care, be blessed, and be made whole.
We thank you for sharing this time with us here at Wholeness Wednesdays. Thank you for joining us to explore and experience this journey to complete wholeness. Please remember that we are only an email away. Your questions and input are welcome via bhutch@completelywhole1.com. See you next time here at Wholeness Wednesdays.